pleasant good Wednesday evening. I'm Chase Miller. Welcome to the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. Here is presented to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. Tonight on the program, we'll start off with a little dance in Minnesota. We'll be joined by Aitkin dance coach Colleen Christensen. Also from there, we'll be having our senior spotlight with some Hawley dancers as they're making their way to state as well. The state tournament is this Friday and Saturday down in Minneapolis, St. Paul. From there, we'll get into wrestling with Mitch Greenwood of Pembina County North and also Travis Lemar from Central Cass as the individual tournaments coming up this weekend across the state of North Dakota. Then we get into some hoops action, talking with Roseau boys basketball head coach Jay Kocka from Maple River. Also from there, West Fargo Horace coach as well in girls basketball, Brent Hintz, as the Horace Hawks are off to a phenomenal record so far on this season. But let's get into our conversation. Let's open it up with a little dance here on this Wednesday night on YourLiveEvent.com.
Welcome to the Coach's Corner. This week, it's your boy Matt Thurston here with head coach Colleen Christensen of the Aitkin All-Stars dance team. Coach, how are you and the girls feeling?
Hi, Matt. We are so excited. It is state week, so 3 more days and we're jumping on the bus and heading down to Minneapolis to do our best at the state tournament. We're very, very excited. A little nervous, excited.
Coach, you've had a roller coaster of a season, ups and downs. You're on your way to state. Talk to us a little bit about what has transpired over the season and led you here.
Yeah, like you said, we have kind of had some ups and downs. We started out our season on the 21st of October, so that was our first day of practice. And then less than a month later, we competed in Brainerd. We put all 4 routines, JV kick, JV jazz, varsity kick, varsity jazz on the floor, which is quite a feat to get 4 routines ready in less than a month. And we had some success at that competition that we weren't really expecting, which was really exciting. If I'm remembering right, our team took 3rd in kick. I can't even remember. It was such a long time ago. But our name got announced at awards, which was really exciting. And that kind of boosted the kids' confidence, and they realized, like, you know what, we have some potential this year. So we've just been working hard week after week after week. And I think there's been a total of 6 or 7 competitions total. And we've had some success at some of them and not such great results at others. But each week we just go back to the drawing board and work on the areas of the score sheet that we can control. And then a couple weeks ago, I guess today is the 11th or 10th of February. So on February 1st, we had sections and we walked away with 3rd place in jazz and 2nd place in kick, which was 2nd place in kick was the highest we received all season, which was really, really special. And we weren't expecting it. So lots of excited emotions and tears of happiness. And we've just kind of been riding that high ever since. So we're ready to go to state, and whatever happens down there happens. And it's just going to be a really cool experience for all the kids.
Coach, this is your first year coaching, but you're no stranger to dance. You've done judging. You've been around the world for a while. Talk to us a little bit about what this first year of coaching has brought to you, giving you a different perspective.
Yeah, I judged for nearly 20 years. So I've been to state many, many times. And then prior to that, I danced in college and I danced in high school. So this has been basically my life since I was 3. But anywho, the coaching world has just been really something cool and special. I knew it was going to be a lot of work. I didn't know it was going to be quite as much work as it is, but it's definitely been rewarding, challenging and rewarding. I've had a great network of assistant coaches helping me along the way, which has been great. An awesome booster club and parent support, administration support, community support, and then other like fellow coaches and judges that I know through my network and stuff. So yeah, the coaching world has been something I never ever thought I was going to do. But when I moved back home to Aitkin, the opportunity came up and it seemed like just the right fit at the right time. And I'm really so happy that I took the job. And I feel like super content and fulfilled and really, really happy to be part of this crazy dance team world.
Coach, having 20 years in the judging, how has that helped you here in your first year of coaching?
I think that was a pretty big advantage, honestly. Like the judging, I've been all over the state and nearly on every high school gym watching state dance or watching dance throughout the years. So I've really seen everything that's kind of out there as far as, the really excellent teams all the way down to the teams that are a little bit, struggle a little bit more. So I've seen the whole gamut. I was one of a handful of folks that were kind of on a work committee to develop the score sheet that the high school league uses for state, for all of dance team competitions. So helping to author that score sheet, I know it inside and out. I can, read it in my sleep type of thing. I really, really know what the judges are looking for. So when we get the feedback on the score sheet, which is honestly just a circle on a piece of paper, I'm able to interpret, like, what does that 5 mean? What does that 6 mean? And help to, understand what we need to do in the routine to bump the scores up. So I feel like that has given me a little bit of an advantage, but I don't have any extras. I don't have any secrets that nobody else doesn't know. So there's nothing I'm hiding from anybody there.
Coach, in your first year, every group of girls is special. What has made this group of girls special in your first year?
Well, I will always remember this team as not only my first team, but also like the first team that I took to state, which is really cool. I have 3 really great seniors that are fantastic leaders, and they've been a great mainstay for the program. So really helping to bring that tradition around and kind of helping me with like what the All-Stars do as far as this conditioning and that drill. And they've been great and instrumental, great leaders. I'm really gonna miss those 3 when they graduate. We've got a nice group of 4 juniors this year, so they'll be great leaders going into next year. Really strong in the 8th and 9th and 10th grade groups. A cute little group of 7th graders. I shouldn't say cute. I mean, they're all cute, but a nice group of 7th grade girls that they're really working on their foundation and fundamentals. And then we look forward to the new crew of new 7th graders for next year. But back to the team this year, they've just really worked so hard, and they've pushed themselves. They've done everything that we've asked them to do. So determined, so hardworking, so fun, like so funny. They're hilarious. We have a great time together, and they're just really good kids. So I've been really, really lucky to work with such an awesome group of kids.
Coach, give us a little rundown of what a typical practice looks like for you and the girls.
Yeah. We try to kind of mix things up once in a while, but typically we are practicing from about 3:45 till 6:15, 6:30. Wednesdays, we have a little bit of a shorter practice, and we spend a good 45 minutes or so conditioning and stretching and warming up our bodies. And then we usually break into choreography. So whether it's a kick day or a jazz day, we spend time, working on the routine, drilling different sections, going over parts that we need memory work for. And at this point in the season, everybody knows the routines so well. Their muscle memory just kind of takes over. So we're working on the fine details and, making sure every passe is connected, every foot is pointed, every thumb is tucked in, every head is looking the right direction. So it's a lot of repetition. And if you ask the kids how many kicks do they do in a season, it's countless. So we just drill and have some fun and goof around at the same time too, and try to make it fun for the kids.
Coach, you've been to state over your last 20 years of judging. As a head coach going into state, what are you most looking forward towards?
I am excited to see it from the team perspective. I've been in the judges suite for such a long time that I've had that vantage point. But to be actually on the floor with the team, looking up at all the fans in the target center, looking up at the judges suite, that's going to be pretty incredible. I'm also really excited to have the kids experience it and to watch it, and to watch the kids kind of experience it for the first time. I think that's what I'm most looking forward to, is just seeing their big wide eyes and just how excited they're going to be. I'm already like getting so emotional thinking about how much fun we're going to have.
Coach, what are the expectations for the girls that you have going to state this year with your first ride?
Yeah, our expectations are pretty realistic. We know where we stand as far as points go compared to all the other teams that have qualified. So so we're gonna go out and give our very best performance and just have a blast doing it. Like, we're gonna enjoy the moment, live in the moment, be present. We're gonna be thrilled for the teams that get selected to advance, and we're just gonna soak in every moment. It's likely that we aren't going to take it to finals this year, which is absolutely okay. And you never know what can happen, but knowing what other teams are doing right now, we're probably just not in that top 6, which is just fine. So our main goal is to go and live in the moment, have the best time, and really make some great memories with this team.
Coach Colleen Christensen of the Aitkin All-Stars dance team. Thanks for the time today, Coach, and good luck with you and the girls at state.
Thank you, Matt. We're so excited.
Chance to visit with Hawley Dance again. We had Hawley Dance on prior to their section hosting, and now we get to talk to seniors and captains that are helping make a state trip possible. Hawley jazz and high kick dancers off to state. From right to left as we see it, I'll have you just wave, ladies, when I say your name. Laura Burkel, Ellie Rosing, and Addison Strawsell joining us here today as Hawley seniors off to dance in the state for Minnesota State High School League in Class A for both the jazz and the high kick. First off, I'll start with you, Laura. How does it feel, for your team to be representing again, especially having danced at home for sections?
Yeah, it's really exciting. We've been to state the past 2 years. This will be our 3rd trip. State is like nothing else. Like, it's the best feeling ever, and like going is so fun and just being there. And since we've been there the past couple of years, we're hoping to like higher our goals and do better each year. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Fantastic. So from your end, what was it like to be able to perform at sections at home this year, not have to travel, have some home court advantage, if you will?
Yeah, it was really cool, really fun, especially for senior year. Like, last time at home, it was really special to have sections at home and like get announced that you're going to stay in your home gym.
Super exciting. Ellie, how about for you, Ellie Rosing? What was it like to claim a top 3 spot and off the state at home? What was that feeling like on Saturday?
It was super exciting. Like, we were all overjoyed and proud of how far we've come, even from this season and from the past 2 seasons. We've improved a lot, and it's awesome to see our improvement pay off.
Addison, I'll ask you too, from the standpoint of being a senior, making it back, qualifying for state. What is this? What is this like? What is this experience like for you?
It's truly amazing, like watching, like Ellie said, the growth and like just being able to grow with the same team we've had. And yeah, it's just a really good feeling, and like you just feel so accomplished and proud.
And then I'll just keep this going, Addison. You're going to keep talking here. So let's. I got to ask you: do you have a favorite, whether it's jazz or high kick? Is one more exciting, more fun for you, or I mean, just your thoughts?
Definitely, kick is more fun to like. It's more like stress-free for me, because in jazz, like I have to worry about the turns and like I don't know how to explain that. But kick is definitely more fun. But jazz is probably my favorite, just because like when you nail your turns, it's like such a good feeling, and like yeah, and I don't know. Yeah, they're both so hard to compare because they're just so different. But yeah.
That is exactly right. I like how you explain it, because jazz and high kick are not the same. There's maybe some techniques, but yeah, Ellie, how about for you? Ask the same question. Jazz, high kick, which do you prefer? Or, go ahead and expand like Addison did.
Yeah, for me, it's actually opposite. I think jazz is more fun, and kick, I feel like sometimes, I don't know, jazz, I feel like there's always something new, and we always have stuff to work on in jazz, and I feel like I never get tired of it.
Laura, right back at you. What's your feelings?
Personally, I do enjoy jazz more. I think it's fun, like Ellie said. Like kick, I love it too, because it's so like energized. Like, there's so much energy on the floor when we're performing. But jazz, I personally like it more. Like, it's fun, and like Ellie said, like it's always changing.
I think it was really well explained by all of you. I mean, it seems like high kick, when you watch dancers get on, it seems like they just there is a freeing ability of we're just gonna get, you're getting after it, maybe compare it to for someone who's not watched dance, a basketball player who's breaking free with an opportunity at a layup or a slam dunk. That's high kick.
Yeah.
Jazz is running a half court offense and getting a bucket or something, they're both good. It's great, but gotta find some ways to example. So, okay, Laura, what are you most looking forward to now at state? Like, what about the experience is the most for you? Because I know you want to perform at your best, obviously, but what are you most looking forward to?
I don't even know. Like the whole experience, like together, like just being there as a team, and we all get so much closer. But like, I don't know, performing on the state floor is like an experience that is amazing, and I don't know. So that's probably what I'm most looking forward to, just being able to perform on the state floor with my team.
Ellie, same question.
I would say just seeing the like rookies on the floor, and like they've improved a lot this season and they really put in a lot of work. So I'm happy that we came together as a team and made it there, and I'm excited to see what we can do on the floor.
All right, and Addison, I'll ask you the same thing.
Mine's definitely a lot like theirs. Just being there and just performing on the state floor is something that it's hard to even explain how amazing it feels. And I think even just like spending time with the team in the hotel and just like getting to know everybody better than we already do, which is crazy to even imagine that. But yeah, just spending time and with the team and just being with everybody one last time.
As seniors, I'll ask you guys, I guess, two more questions as we go around. I'll start with you, Addison. When it comes to it, your experience in dance, do you feel, after high school wraps up, will you find a way to stay involved in dance? Is this something you want to do, whether it's, giving back as a teacher, coach, whatever it may be? Is that something you think maybe would interest you?
I don't know if I could ever coach. That's a lot of like time and commitment, and it's amazing what they do. But I will definitely be attending a lot of competitions and supporting from the stands and buying from the clothing orders and all that. Yeah.
How about you, Ellie?
I would agree with that. I can't see myself coaching in the future, especially as a college student. It can get to be a lot, but yeah, I think just continuing to support the team and everything they do, because this team has given everything to me. So
Very good, Laura. I'll ask you the same thing.
Yeah, I think coaching would be a lot, but I think it'd definitely be fun to like come back and help the team, that's for sure. And I'm hoping to continue dancing on in college. So yeah.
That's great. I mean, everybody's got a different scenario. When it comes down to it, as captains, obviously you guys are looked to as role models. Now with dance, I'll say this in comparison to your typical sports, basketball, football, volleyball, whatever, you typically have a playbook to follow. And a lot of times that playbook has come down from a coach. Likewise with choreography for dance, coaches are heavily involved, if not completely, but oftentimes they'll have you ladies or teammates involved in the choreography. Laura, is that something you've been involved in or are involved in?
Yes, the past few years, like as I've been a captain, I've helped with the choreography and even just like upperclassmen help with the choreography every year. So
okay, likewise, Ellie, Addison, same thing. You guys are all involved that way. Okay, so from that standpoint, do you feel? I'll start with Laura. We'll go back down the line. Laura, are your routines? Are you at the spot where you don't need to make any more adjustments? You're perfect. You guys just need to go and hit it.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're ready. We just gotta keep cleaning and hit it at state.
Very good, Ellie. What do you think your team needs to do the most, or what do you think has to be cleaned up the most in order to score your best at state?
I would say the ability to communicate on the floor is really big for us, because we really want to feel like a team out there. You don't ever want to feel like you're dancing by yourself. It's really the worst feeling ever. So being able to communicate on the floor is super important.
Addison, when you get on the floor at Target Center, I know you've been there. You've done this, which is awesome, and that adds to it. How do you feel are you gonna be able to block the emotions when you see all the fans? Are you gonna be able to block the emotions now that you got that experience? Is that gonna help you?
Yeah, and I think honestly the emotions help. Like if when I'm walking out there, I think back to like all the hard work I've put in and like, yep, this is the moment that we've been waiting for the past 4 months. And like, let's just go out there and do our best and give it all we can and then hope to make finals. Like, that's all you can do is you can just go there and you show up and you talk and you dance clean, sharp, and then you go back down for awards and then they call finals and then you pray you make finals and then you get to do it one more time.
I was going to say the goal. I thought I remember hearing from dance members earlier that your goal was finals this year to make it get the next step. Well, best of luck to you, ladies. Congratulations on all the successes and enjoy your state tournament experience and soak it all up. Congratulations on all the efforts.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Laura Burkel, Ellie Rosing, and Addison Strawsell joining us, along with earlier today, Brent Schmidt as well, helping organize these visits with the seniors captains from the Hawley dance team.
Treat yourself to a great career at American Crystal Sugar Company. Team up with quality people making quality products. Full-time and year-round in a stable business. With great pay and benefits including time off available from day one. American Crystal Sugar Company invests in you to promote your continued growth and career advancement. Grow your career doing your best work within the world's best beet sugar company. Apply online today at americancrystalcareers.com.
Don't be fooled by that beat-up old cap. Its faded crown represents the tireless work of America's farmers and ranchers. Its sturdy brim, their dedication to providing our nation with a safe, affordable food source. So we'd like to tip our hat to them. Farmers Union Insurance, protecting those that protect America's food source.
Visit with Ryan Opdahl, your local Farmers Union Insurance agent in Hillsborough.
Growers, prepare your fields and yields against the wet conditions for 2025 and beyond with a drain tile project from Chad's Excavating out of Mayville. Drain tiling will improve and increase your yields and land values for years to come. Chad's Excavating provides free, detailed estimates, and with over 40 years of combined success, they provide professional installation and service. Call Chad today to prepare for your future and any questions that you might have. That's Chad's Excavating out of Mayville, helping farmers grow.
On the Your Live Event Coaches Show this week, we are getting to the postseason of winter sports, and that means we're in the thick of it for wrestling postseason, joined by the head coach of the Pembina County North Grizzly Wrestling Program, and Mitch Greenwood, also the athletic director there at Cavalier. And Mitch, a great weekend for both sides, both boys and girls, with some good results, but the boys in some exciting matches, doing enough to clinch a spot at the state dual meet on the 22nd.
Yeah, it was a very exciting weekend for us. We were back in familiar territory. Just 2 weeks prior to this, we had a triangular in Carrington against Carrington and Northern Lights, and we came out 0-2 that night, and we got beat by Northern Lights by 27 points. So we knew that we had to do something different, and just to give ourselves a chance. So we kind of went back to the drawing board and devised a plan, and wouldn't you know, if it just kind of worked out for us.
We talk about things like chess matches, trying to compare that game to sports, whether it's football, basketball, what have you. But I think wrestling duels kind of epitomizes the chess match metaphor the best. When you're just trying to, it's not sometimes about who wins and who loses, but where you place the guys and who they go up against. Especially that match with Northern Lights, where it came down to 1 point. Realistically, it's 33-33 tie. You win 7 wins to 6 wins in the tiebreaker, and the 7th win was by a 1-0 decision. So walk us through that match with Northern Lights.
Yeah, the match maybe was won before the first kids even entered the circle. We won the coin flip, and we knew that was going to be important. The coin flip determines who puts their kids out first at odds or even matches, and we got the flip that we wanted. The 121-pound weight class was an area where we were really looking at. We knew that they had a tremendous wrestler, Bodie Henderson. We kind of wanted to avoid him. We didn't think that we had anyone on our lineup that was going to be able to avoid giving up bonus points to him. But we have some solid kids in that area that we thought could score points in some other matchups. So we got the matchups we wanted there.
Oakley Brown, he got things started for us. He stole a big win. They didn't put Bodie out at 121. They put someone else out, but they had to show first, so we saw their move. We were able to counter by leaving Oakley where he was. He got a decision for us. So that kind of gave us a little bit of breathing room. That like I said, we had a plan. 2 matches later, we went out and part of the plan again was Oscar Martinez. We thought he could win his match. He was 1-1 with the kid Brayden Hool, and we came out short on that one. So we were down 3 points where we thought maybe we'd get 3 points. So then we knew that from there on out we really didn't have any room for error. But after that, things kind of went the way that we had planned for them. We made a switch at 172. We had 2 solid kids there, Bryce Kerrigan and Aiden Werner. The last time we wrestled, Bryce went out and he was winning the match and then got pinned late. This time we gave Aiden the nod and he went out and got a win for us. Bryce, then he moved up to 189 and wrestled a really solid kid and the other Henderson kid, Cole Henderson. That was a match that we kind of thought, hey, we got to keep him there. We got to put somebody out there to make sure he doesn't bump up. And Bryce was willing to do that for the team. He kind of was the, sacrificial lamb maybe to go up there. And he gave up a pin, but he kept Cole at 189. So that let us move up a couple other guys. Gavin Sidington was able to go up to 215 and get a pin. And then that allowed us to make our big move of the day, which was to move Caden Rose up to heavyweight. Our normal heavyweight, Denton Carricker, he's a solid kid. He's a senior for us. He's been a state qualifier the last 2 or 3 years, but I think he's 0-3 against Brett Tosted, and it hadn't been going our way matchup wise. And so we said, let's try something different. We moved Caden up, and he was able to get a decision for us, and that brought us back to within 6 points with 1 match to go. And we knew that they did have a 107-pounder weighed in, but he weighed in at 84 pounds, I think. So we had a little size advantage there, and we were confident in the matchup. And so Johnny Robinson went out in the last match, got a pin for us, and tied it up. And I had done some quick math going through my lineup, and I was pretty sure that was going to be our 7th win of the duel. But until they announced it, I kind of was a little nervous just to make sure my math was correct. But then they made the announcement that we won on criteria, and it was pretty exciting for everybody there.
You go back to that 172 specifically. That was the match that, just looking back at how the match went down, that's what stood out to me. That 1-0 decision. I got to think that has to be, a low scoring match like that has to be the hardest match to try to coach. And if you're a wrestler, to try to battle that, because you're not exactly sure what you're going to need, especially as the match gets later on. So kind of take us a little bit more in depth into that one at 172.
Yeah, that one was, it was tight. Like I said, we had wrestled a different guy there the last time, and we thought we could get a win there. Aiden wrestled just a really smart match. He didn't take any big risks, but did just enough to win. He got his point in the second period. In the third period, the other kid chose neutral. Aiden's a tough kid to score against. He's got good defense. And for him, even maybe more impressive, he was giving up a little weight. He's on his way down to 160 this next week for the individual regionals, so he had to weigh in pretty light. So I think he was giving up about 8 pounds. But he held good position. He did enough to win. He did enough to not get called for stalling. In a 1-0 match, you could kind of think, oh, maybe there's not a lot of excitement, but for a 1-0 match, there was some excitement. There were some flurries, and we were fortunate to come out on top of that one.
Of course, we talked about the strategy a little bit of kind of, do you go for the championship, or do you go just to get in the top 2, and maybe you threw all the eggs in the basket to beat Northern Lights, and it worked for you as you avoided the true second match as well, beating them in the semifinals. You put up a good fight against Carrington as well, coming in within 9 points of them in the championship.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, you put all your eggs in one basket, but we had talked about that earlier in the day, and someone said, well, what are we going to do against Carrington? And I said, well, let's get there first. We don't need to worry about that one until we get there. And we did have a plan. We did things a little bit different. But hats off to them. We made some moves, and then, like you said, chess match, they made a couple moves as well. They bumped some kids up in their lineup to avoid some of our kids, and got some better matchups for them that they liked, and they were able to keep us from I think the first time we wrestled them, it was an 8-point match. This time it was a 9-point match, so pretty consistent that way. But they wrestled well. They've got a good team. They've got some individuals that are just some hammers. So we were happy with the way things went, and and we were excited again there. Like you say, this Northern Lights was able to take care of business in the third place match. That challenge match is something that seems like we've been in it a lot in the last 4 or 5 years. And that's always a nerve-wracking match. You have everything on the line in one duel. So to not have to worry about that one when Northern Lights kind of started pulling ahead towards the end of that third place duel, it took a lot of stress off of our plates. So it was nice to see that.
Want to touch on the ladies' side as well. Girls wrestling duels at Central on Saturday. I got a chance to witness that one firsthand. Was pretty impressed with the squad. A couple of things go different ways. The ladies might join the guys at state next week, but they finished in 6th. The tiebreaker didn't go their way against Fargo in the 5th place match, but got to be pretty impressed with how they did on Saturday.
Yeah, they did. They wrestled really well. They came in. They were the 9 seed. They dropped their first match in a close one. I think they lost by 3 to Carrington. And then they rattled off a couple wins. Beat a team that they had previously lost to, and then like you said, in that 5th and 6th place match, I think they lost on criteria because they gave up 4 forfeits, and they were kind of doing that all day long. So to be as competitive as they were and giving up 4 forfeits all day long. That's just a kind of feather in their cap that if you just looked at the matches wrestled, they probably would have won every duel they were in, but just not quite there with enough bodies on the team yet. But the girls they have are wrestling very well. They're very competitive, and they had a great day. So hopefully for them, they'll come out next week, and they'll have to have some urgency now. It takes a little pressure off of some of our guys that the ticket is punched. But yet, at the same time, sometimes it's kind of nice to know that, hey, we got to go into individuals and we got to get the job done. And, I'm hoping that's not going to be a case for us. But for the girls, they have to really put up a good fight now, or their season could come to an end. And they've got some really solid girls that have been working hard, having a really great year. And I'm excited to see how that ends. And hopefully at the state tournament, that's how their season will end.
Talked a little bit about the individual competition coming up on Friday for the girls, Saturday for the boys. Kind of give us a little more insight of where the team is at individually, and duels can be taxing. It can take a lot out of you, and kind of health wise and weight wise, where everybody's at going into the final pre-state week.
Sure, I know. From the boys' side of things, that I'm a lot more familiar with, seeing them every day. Health-wise, we're pretty healthy as far as injuries are concerned. Right now, the flu's kind of been coming through. I was sick with it last week. I kind of avoided the team towards the end of the week. Skipped practice on Thursday and Friday, and met up with the team down in Carrington. But now today, I'm getting a report. A couple kids are out of school today, home with the flu. So I'm hoping that that's going to pass. Maybe it's the right time of the week, get it early and be done with it by the weekend. So but as far as that's concerned, we should have our full lineup on Saturday, unless something crazy happens over this next week. We were looking at it. We could have a great weekend, and I think realistically we could take as many as maybe 10 kids to the state tournament. But there's going to be some really tough weight classes, and it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities to say we take 5 or 6, and it's just going to depend on which group shows up. But if the same group of boys that wrestled on this past Saturday shows up to wrestle this week, we hopefully will be close to that double-digit mark. For the girls, again, they should have 8 or 9 weights filled, I would think, this weekend, and they can have an alternate at a couple weights. I think their goals are high. They want to take 7 or 8 girls to the state tournament, and they have a lot of them that could really push for placing pretty high at state. So we got some solid kids like Macy Puppy and Charlotte Croston, Danica Bennett, and Marley Stremick. All of them could get hot and go on a run and make it all the way to the finals. So, but they're all in weight classes too, where they one false move and they could be in an uphill battle.
Mitch, anything else you want to mention here on the Coaches Show this week?
No, I don't know. Just thanks for having us. We appreciate talking PCN wrestling and looking forward to a great last 2 weeks of the season.
Mitch Greenwood, head coach there, the wrestling programs of Pembina County North, joining us here on the Coaches Show this week. Again, the ladies individuals on Friday in Castleton and the boys individuals on Saturday in Grafton, both full video and audio coverage on yourliveevent.com. Mitch, thanks for the time. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Joining us now from the Central Cast Wrestling perspective here is Travis Lemar, as they, as well as a host of other teams, getting geared up to get back on the mat here this season in 2024 and 2025. And Travis, before we talk about this year's club and some of the returning wrestlers, let's just kind of put a bow on last season. For the girls, not so much difference in terms of how everything has evolved year to year, kind of getting similar and being used to accustomed with the boys in terms of the postseason and getting to state and seeing how that all worked out. But from the boys' perspective, it was a little different last year wrestling in the EDC. So let's start with the boys just because there was some newness there. What'd you kind of see wrestling in Class A and just kind of how that meshed throughout the calendar year here last year, Travis?
Yeah, we felt like we had a pretty solid team last year. And with the move of our school transitioning to Class A, I felt like it was probably the right time for our kids on the wrestling side, especially on the boys' side, to make that move up. Twofold, like one was we knew the transition was happening, so it was just a matter of trying to make it happen. And then two was I knew we had a team that could compete with the majority of the teams in Class A. So it was really kind of setting the table for the teams that come to show that we can compete and we can achieve the same kind of goals that we were achieving in Class B. As far as competition wise, everybody keeps asking me, like what's the big difference between Class A, Class B? Really, there's not as much as what people would think. Class A is probably a little deeper when you get into the weight classes like 5, 6, 7, 8 at state than what Class B can be. But both Class B and Class A have their dudes, right? Like every weight class is going to have a guy or another 2 or 3 that are just upper echelon, just that tier above everybody else. I think that's probably the biggest difference. The only other thing I would say is like when you get into like the dual format with teams, you take a Biz High, in a Cheyenne last year, they really didn't have any holes in their lineups, where even with, a Lisbon or a South Border, you can usually find a hole or two in their lineup where you can get some wins. And with the other squads, when they were healthy, they were as good as advertised, and really tough to find a win against them when you squared off against them.
I know on the boys' side too, Travis, it was different because you have individuals, but there was no dual tournament like you have in Class B to get to state. So How does that make the regular season just more valuable? Obviously, you as coaches, some of the wrestlers, coaches, but you're not there every year that were in your region in Class B. So how much were you just learning on what those wrestlers and kind of how coaches might, put a lineup together on night in and night out?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was probably the biggest thing, is just kind of seeing like what coaches were set with, like, this is my lineup. These are 13 I'm rolling out. What coaches were willing to bump and stuff like that. Trying to figure that piece out. But really just getting our kids bought in on the fact that there is no redo, right? There's no region duels where, hey, we have an off night against this team, we get to come back. I wish we did. Like I truly love the region duel tournament. It's one of my favorite events of the year, and allows teams that maybe peak towards the end to be rewarded with a chance to go to state that maybe didn't have kids at the right weight class at the beginning or something like that. But really just getting our kids to understand that every dual night you have to bring it. There's no off nights because of that. Which honestly, it made our duels pretty, I would say, more exciting, right? Because you knew you had to get the W that night if you wanted to remain in the top 4 and participate at the state duels. So that was definitely, a learning curve for us, and something that I felt we adapted to really well. You could see our boys really step up in those duels. that we had to have in order to get to state. So something that we're looking forward to again this year. Just gonna be a little tougher. So,
and I know it had to be really rewarding that first year getting as a team into duels that first year, going from B going to A, and obviously just taking a look back at the information that you kind of gave us, a couple weeks ago, just for the wrestlers coming back, and there's a good chunk of the senior class that's back. Obviously, I remember a couple of people a couple of years ago talking about Grady Link as an underclassman, making the wrestling move to get the team to state. That was everyone's favorite, or one of the favorite wrestling moments. But let's just start there before we talk with Mitchell, Derek. Let's just start with Grady and the senior class. Just kind of what does this senior class provide this year to this wrestling team here, Travis?
Yeah, it's a unique group with the fact that some of them are either in their first or second year of wrestling varsity, where last year's crew, with like Cade and BP and Peyton and Stone and those guys, like they'd wrestled varsity for 4 or 5 years. So these guys they're chomping at the bit for their opportunity and their chance to kind of leave their legacy. Grady is a kid that we're really looking to this year to kind of lead the pack, if you will. Was a match away from placing last year on the individual side. Thought he had a real legit chance to get there, to get on the podium, and really feel like he's going to be that guy that's going to get there this year. Been working hard and doing all those kind of things. And yeah, I mean, I think, that moment up in Mayville where he got the cradle and it went back and forth and fought off his back and stuff like that is always going to be a memory that he's going to have, and we're going to have as fans and coaches and spectators of the sport. But I think he wants to add to it. I really do. And I think he has all the ability in the world to make sure that he adds to it and gets that individual piece of climbing on that podium and being one of the top 8 and getting his name on the wall. Like he has all the ability to do it this year. Now, I mean, we got to stay healthy and continue to improve and work at it, but he's definitely there. He's definitely ready to take that next step and be that leader of this program this year.
Let's talk about some of the other kids here. Let's start with Derek first before we talk about Mitchell. Just kind of what do you want to see from Derek here on the individual, but also the team perspective this season here, Travis?
Yeah, Derek on the individual side, he put a ton of work in this offseason. I mean, he went and wrestled all the USA stuff, wrestled with Team North Dakota in a couple of the dual tournaments this summer. Really spent his time focusing on wrestling. His goal is to be on the podium. First rankings came out. He's number 3. Now, granted, we understand it's early season rankings. Who knows where that's going to shake out come the end of the year, but his name's in the mix. And I think for these early polls, it's just having your name in the mix and being respected by other coaches and understanding that, hey, I can do this. I can be one of those guys is huge. And he's, like I said, he's put the time in. This is what he wants. You see a different Derek in the room right now. And you see it with his partner, with John Call. John Call's another one that, is really focused on wrestling and really wants to get his name out there and have success. And those two have picked up their drill pace in the room. They're no longer the smaller kids in their weight class. They're finally growing into their weight classes. And I think just that belief of knowing like, hey, okay, I'm not giving up 15 pounds here. Like I can compete with these guys because I'm the same size as them. And having that confidence stepping on the mat, knowing that you got a chance to win every time you get out there is going to be huge for them. And their wrestling skill is there. I mean, they have the skill. It's just a matter of putting it together on the mat every time we have a competition. But looking for those two to really pick up, a lot of the points that we lost with some of the kids that graduated and help us climb that podium a little bit higher this year.
Yeah, and final person just to bring up on the boys' side before we talk girls here is Mitchell Melander. Just kind of what do you want to see from him particularly as you get into the season here, Travis?
Yeah, Mitchell's, he's a great kid. He's kind of bought his time sitting behind guys like Dylan Sell and Garrett Haugen and stuff like that. Last year was his first full year of varsity for us. Really had a good year. He's looking to make it a great year this year, his senior year. He's been working really hard in the room. Thankfully, he's got a lot of heavy coaches like myself, Zach and Cade to work with on a daily basis. And and it's showing. Like his skill level from last year, the start of the year, to this year, start of the year, completely different. He's looking to slot in at that 215 for us. And he's gonna win some big matches for us. There's no doubt in my mind. He's gonna be a swing match that we're gonna be counting on in a lot of our duels to try and get team wins. And I'm looking forward to that, for him because of the time and the effort he's put in. Like, looking forward to a great senior year for him, and something that can show the other kids, like, hey, you might only get 1 or 2 cracks at this, but make the most out of it, learn while you can while you're JV, and then when it's your time to shine, get out there and do it. So really looking forward to this group of kids and the amount of work that we've already put in and what we have in front of us.
And then on the girls' side, it's been fun to see over the last handful of years, right? You go into by yourself at Fargo Davies for state into, okay, now you have individuals, now you have duels, as a regional to get to state. It's not just the top 8 make it, Travis. So I guess from the girls' perspective, you talk about what was different from the boys. From the girls' perspective, is this about as close to normalcy in a schedule where it feels like we did this last year, we know what we're getting again this year in girls wrestling?
Yeah, I think it's the first time we haven't had an addition of something, right? A region duels or a region qualifier and things of that nature. So, really the only addition is the unlimited. There's no more unlimited weight class, right? Like we don't get to enter all 25 of our girls come region time, which, like, it sucks, but at the same time, it's what's good for the growth of girls wrestling, right? It helps smaller schools be more competitive and things like that. But yeah, it's going to be the most normal that we've had, and our girls are hungry, right? Like we felt like we underperformed last year at state, and that's saying something considering we were 4th in individuals and 4th in duels, and the only teams in front of us were 2 Bismarck schools and a Minot school, which are much larger than us. But we still, like, we feel we belong at the top. We feel like we belong in the same conversation as a Bismarck High, and now we got work to do to get there. There's no doubt about it, but that's where we want to be. We want to be in that final duel, that state championship duel. And on Friday night, when they're crowning the team champion, we want to be in that mix. We want to be right there battling for a crown. So, our girls have done a great job promoting the sport of wrestling, not only here at Central Cass, but statewide. And, it'd be awesome for us to, especially with this large group of seniors, to be able to send them out as champions one last time.
Yeah, I remember talking with a handful of wrestlers last couple of years saying, we went to the statistician and said you should wrestle, whether they were doing boys or girls wrestling. And the next year they come out and you just add the growth to the sport a little bit, or, recruiting the hallways, getting other girls that maybe aren't playing basketball or in some type of winter sport. And we kind of go from that, Travis. And here's one question that I get asked, I think enough of just from fans or people wondering about the sport before we talk about the individuals. Is it's going to have its own weekend? Will there be a Class A, Class B in girls wrestling? Where do you see the trajectory, I guess, moving forward here on the girls wrestling mat, Travis?
I mean, I think there's a lot of push to try and split it, Class A, Class B. I just don't know if there's enough within the next 10 years on the B side for them to support it by themselves. They have some great individual wrestlers. There's no doubt about it. Like, every program's got a stud coming out and things like that. But it's when you start talking bracket wide, right? Like, can you fill a 16-person bracket? Are you putting 8 quality people on the podium and stuff? And I just don't know if we're going to see that in the near future. I like to think that the growth of girls wrestling is going to continue and going to continue to populate that way. So I'm hopeful. Will it be on a separate weekend? Honestly, I hope not. And the only reason I say that is not to take anything away from the girls or the guys, but when you get to step into the Fargo Dome and you get to watch Class B boys, you get to watch Class A boys, and you get to watch the girls wrestle, like, you're guaranteed excitement on one of those 8 or 12 mats, whatever they're running at that time. It's good for the sport, right? And, when we were talking about adding girls wrestling quite a few years ago, as a statewide deal, I said, it's going to be good for just the growth of wrestling in general. You take a girl that wrestles and has a good experience with it, and she's got a little brother, you're more apt to grab that kid and he joins your boys program now, right? I just think it's, number one, I think it's good for the sport. Number two, like if you're doing it right, girls are leaving your program more confident, more secure in who they are, like all that kind of stuff. It's, I said it in my parent email on Sunday, there's no sport that we offer that can give you what wrestling gives you as an individual, with, relying on yourself, right? Perseverance, grit, determination, like all the catchphrases that are out there, right? Like wrestling gives that to you. It teaches you hard work. And those are things that no matter what you do in your profession, and you show up and you work hard every day and you have a good attitude about it, you're going to be successful. It's just, it's going to happen for you. And like I said, I know other coaches will argue with me, and they sure can. Like, I'm always open to argument and debate. But this sport is unlike any other. And what you learn from it and what you get out of it can take you places that you probably never dreamed of before joining.
And we go now to the girls' side. Similar question to start with. You got a good senior class coming back here, Travis, and I know we talked about a couple of them before we even got on air with Mallory DeVries, Lois Schneider, Ava Gullifson, just to name a couple right there. What do you want to see from this senior class? Similar question to the boys. What does this senior class, provide coming into this season here on the girls' side?
I think number one is leadership, right? Like the girls we have in our senior group, great kids, great humans, and just willing to work hard. Like Mallory, one of the top cross country runners in the state, right? Like the way she trains is unbelievable. Okay. She's been so close the last couple of years, to making that finals match. Last year dropped one in early in the tournament and came all the way back and got third. The year before made semis, lost a heartbreaker in the semis, but like she's right there and just ready to take that next step. And I truly believe if the year goes the way that we think it will with her, she'll be in the finals. Whatever weight class she decides to finish at, she has all the ability to be there. Lois, she loves wrestling as much as anybody, if not more. It's really been her driving force, right? She did basic this summer, joined the guard, came back way stronger, way more mentally, adapted to the sport of wrestling. What they teach you in the guard is similar to what you're getting on the mat, right? So looking for her to really take that next step. She climbed higher on the podium last year. We expect her to climb even higher this year. Ava, she, as a sophomore going in, she had pretty high hopes. Didn't go very well for her. Last year as a junior, same thing, battled back, came all the way back, ended up third, had a great showing, which led to, high confidence coming into her senior year. The way she's working in the room is great. Katie Sinner came back and is going to school now in Moorhead after her time out of BSC. So she's in the room wrestling with Ava almost daily, which, you take a two-time state champ with Katie Sinner and you put her with Ava Gullifson, like good things are going to happen, right? So our senior class is great. Take a Cheyenne Helen, who's been a multiple state place winner for us. Aubrey Quinn, who's new to the sport, but has picked it up super fast. The list just goes on and on. Like I said, it's a great senior group, which is why I feel like we have a chance to battle with Biz High. And they're great. Like, I'm not taking anything away from Biz High, Minot High, Legacy. They're all great programs. They all have great coaches and great kids in their program, but like, I'm super confident in this group of kids and that they're going to be there at the end when we need them to be. So.
And final person just to bring up here, Travis, Anna White, obviously, the way she's been able to win a state championship the last couple of years, that embrace with her coaches afterwards. And I've always kind of said it when I've covered her particularly, she's not someone in the back alley I would want to, kind of kick on, because she would come at you immediately and she knows how to do it and everything else. And that's a compliment to her in terms of the ability of where she knows at times it feels like chess versus checkers, so to speak, on the mat, and how she's she's wanting to set up certain moves. So what does kind of someone like an Anna White, even though she's not a senior, but been in the program, seen already 100 career wins and vaulting, in her young career, what does she kind of provide to the Squirrels this season?
Yeah, I mean, 3 years of varsity, right? As a seventh grader, she's in the state finals against Jenna Gerhardt, who's an absolute beast, right? Didn't go real well for us, but we kind of expected that, right? Jenna's a senior and was in a class of her own that year. To follow that up and to win 2 state titles, and she's going for number 3 as a sophomore. She'd be the first one in the history of Central Cass to win 3 state titles. And she hasn't quit wrestling. Like from the minute we were done at the state tournament last year, she continued on, got into the freestyle and Greco circuit, wrestled at Fargo, like all those kind of things. Like wrestling is her life. She loves it. And if it was up to her, she'd wrestle 12 months out of the year. Trying to get her to take a break is probably the hardest thing, right? Most people are trying to get kids to do the extra and stuff like that. We're trying to get her to take a break so she's still hungry for it come February. But the way she leads, just the person that she is, we're sitting there in a mat and like there are people behind me cheering for her that are from other teams, coaches, athletes, like everything. And the ability she's had to reach out to other people and just make them feel connected and stuff like that, whether it's after a win or after a loss. Like she's always giving her opponent a hug, telling him good job, things like that. It's unreal. But yeah, I mean, we expect big things from her this year too. And she's always trying to learn. Like you think about that, she's a 3-time finalist, 2-time champ, and her goal is to continue to get better, continue to learn. Like she's staying afterwards and working on footwork stuff with coaches. Just asking different questions about how to hit this move. How can I hit this move if my opponent is like this? One of the best wrestlers, if not the best wrestler to come out of North Dakota is Jordan Shear, right? And I would watch Jordan after matches taking notes on his opponents and stuff like that. No matter if he pinned them in the first 30 seconds or it was a 3-point match, right? And I equate her mental capacity to how Jordan treated each match as a learning experience. She's always trying to learn, always trying to figure out other ways to attack her opponents and to make sure that she's not a one-dimensional wrestler. And, she's the kind of kid that you just want kids to emulate, and not only just in success, just as a human being. Can't speak highly enough about her. She's just flipping awesome. Just put it out there.
It's gonna be a lot of fun to see once everyone gets to the mat again this year. We'll have all the home matches on yourliveevent.com. Bell of the Brawl, Letterman's as well. Travis, as always, thank you so much for your time, and looking forward to seeing you, whether it's at basketball, wrestling, or something in between again here once we get to the arenas this coming winter.
Yeah, we'll be there. You know it. So thanks for all the coverage, Chase. Like we really appreciate your live event and everything they do, not only for our school, but all the local schools around us. It's awesome. These kids deserve to be recognized. You guys do a great job at it. So thank you.
That again, Travis Lemar with Central Cass Wrestling will continue on the yourliveevent.com coaches show after this.
All right, I am here with the head coach of the Roseau Rams, Coach Ryan DeBock. Coach, let's start off with your team's win last night. You and I talked about it a bit on the post game. But last night, a big 50-point win for your team. How did you feel about their performance now this morning?
I feel pretty good about it. We did some things that I was happy about. We moved the ball well. At points, I think it was probably a little too well. There were times where we should have just shot the ball, but it's good to see them spreading the ball around and sharing the points and stuff. So it's good defensively. We kind of did what we set out to do. So we just need to build from there.
Well, and this was a contest against the team in International Falls who haven't won a whole lot, and you guys were kind of trying to bounce back, especially for one of your star players, Jordan Borovich, who hadn't played a whole lot in the last couple of games, just coming back last night. So how important was it to kind of have this game where it was to ease one of your top scorers back into the lineup after injuries?
It was good. You could definitely see that he was a little slower than normal. And I don't know how much of that was due to the actual injury or the precaution, we took with it with the tape and the ankle brace. But yeah, he definitely was a little slower than normal, which, could be a good thing. I think sometimes with young players, especially really athletic players, that slowdown is really helpful, allows them to see the game differently. And so, as we kind of get him back to full speed and whatnot, I'm hoping that really translates.
Well, it did translate last night. 21 points for him, 21 points, almost a triple double for his brother Jake Borovich as well. Before he fouled out of that game against I Falls, it really seems to be for your team that when the Borovich brothers do well, the team does well because then the other players will step up and fill the gaps that need to be filled. But in a situation like on Super Saturday when you played Warren Alvarado Oslo, and you lost by 20. Stephen Argyle, correct? Stephen Argyle, and you lost by 20 points. That's usually a section that Jordan Borovich can fill in for you with that 20 points. So how important for your team is it going to be to have both brothers healthy as you finish off this season, especially with your toughest 3 games back to back to back to finish the season?
Yeah, no, well, first off, we want everybody healthy, and I think that's important, not only for game time, but practice time, where you're pushing each other and challenging each other to be better. It's important to have that competition level. But yeah, he's a guy we need in the lineup if we want a chance of winning in March. And he's on the, fast track of being there now. So hopefully we can, sustain the improvement without causing any relapses or anything like that.
And your team, you had people step up for your team. Aiden Evans has really emerged from your squad for a starting role for your team. Calvin Kingbird has been playing good minutes either on the court as a starter or on the bench, along with Lincoln Buckwitz, one of your seniors, and Austin Bumgarner, kind of like your quasi point guard in the play, more like a shooting guard for your team. So with those guys stepping up and some of your younger guys starting to show improvements for your squad, how will that be something that you guys can build on for next season and the season after with those younger guys like Evans, Kingbird, and Broughton into next season?
Yeah, I think it's it's big, and we probably get a little more training in, a little more of that bringing up because of the Jordan injury, and so it really allows us to give some minutes to some kids who definitely deserve the opportunity, but probably wouldn't have gotten it otherwise. And, it's going to be big for next year, but it's also just big for this year for depth, like Noah specifically, he's a very small kid, but he's a very good basketball player. And so figuring out, well, hey, he can play with these guys, but we might have to do some different things schematically on the defensive end, because of it. And so just kind of learning those strengths and weaknesses of everybody in each lineup and how they roll together.
Okay. Well, your JV team too has been playing a lot of competitive games they've been winning a lot of games as well on the games that I've been able to see before we do the varsity broadcast. Have there been any JV players who may not have gotten some varsity minutes yet this season who are in line for possible varsity minutes down the road into next season?
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of 8th graders on our JV, and so typically, my preference anyway is to allow them to stick with their age group as much as possible. You want them to develop at their speed. Anytime you force that development, you never know what's going to happen. You might have kids that do very well, and you might have others that don't, or might make them hate the game because they're playing against such bigger opponents. So you got to be careful with that. But we definitely have some kids stepping up. The whole team, really. I mean, they're starting to figure it out. They're starting to do the things we've been coaching, and it's fun to watch.
All right. So coming up next, at the end of this week, you play Bagley on the road. which should be a good matchup for your team. But you also play Kitson County, who is a top-level program in the section. And then after that, you play War Road, who is also in the top 3 of Section 8 AA. So with those 3 games coming up, how's your team gonna have to prepare for those? And what is the game plan to improve as you get ready to go into sectional play starting the week after? I think it's the week after next week is when sections are, or it's either then or it's right at the end of February.
Yeah, no, we just gotta relish these games, right? Where the lights are the brightest, and like you said, we got Bagley Thursday. We got KCC is a very tough game. They got a big guy in Ty Vig. That's, he's a load, and we gotta learn to play against teams with guys like that, because our section has a bunch of them. And so even though they're single A, they're great, kind of a warm up. I shouldn't say warm up, because that denotes they're a little easier. They're not, but it's a little good. It's good experience for that Section 8 AA.
Okay.
And then,
so right now I was just
to say, and then obviously War Road's, a section rival, their school rival. This one you always want to have, and whether you're out on top, you want that competition to be there. You want to see the rivalry blossom, because it brings out the best in both teams, and so we got that one. And then one you didn't mention right after that is Crookston, who's, they don't have a lot of wins, but they've been playing teams really tough. I don't remember who it was last night that they played, but they took them right down to the wire again, and they're all really good teams. And we had to score 93 points to beat them last time. So
I do remember that game. That was a very close game for your team to have to win that one. So looking ahead now, kind of at where you guys sit in the section rankings, who is kind of like right now the team you're going to have to go play when section starts with the current way it all sits?
Looking at it right now, if you made me bet on who we were going to play, I would say that it's going to be Thief River. That's the way it's looking. But Hawley, they got some bigger school opponents that they're battling against, and they're a very good team too. So if they get a win, they could easily bump us down, just because they play, bigger schools down there. So that affects the QRF. So yeah, they could easily bump above us. If we don't take care of business, we could drop possibly to 12. And then we're looking, that's a position we don't want to be in, ideally. But yeah, so it's probably going to be Thief River or Park Rapids is my guess.
So with those 2 games, how different is going to be the game planning if you have to play a Thief River or Park Rapids in your first round sectional game?
Well, we've never played Park Rapids since I've been here. I know they're a team that likes to play a lot like we do. They like to do some different things with tempo, and they mix in zone and man. We've been kind of focusing more on man this year, but a lot of the same concepts. They like to dictate the pace of the game. And so that's kind of my philosophy, is we're going to do what we're going to do, and we try to force the other team to counter us rather than us always countering what the other team's doing.
Okay. So it sounds like it's good.
That's how both Thief River and Park Rapids are too. So
it sounds like it could be a scheme on schemes. It really just comes down to how well the players play in that scheme kind of match up for you guys if those were your opponents in sections.
Yeah. There's always little things that, we'll do, and we'll have to analyze that and film as we figure out who that matchup's going to be. But yeah.
All right. So in off our interview today, if people follow high school basketball and follow the Rams, they know of the Borovich brothers. They know how they play. But in your opinion, who are some of the unsung heroes that people should be paying attention to for your team to make a run at a section title this year?
Well, we need our bigs to step up big time. And they've been consistently getting better. So this isn't a knock on them, but we still need them to be better. Calvin Kingbird and Lincoln Buckwitz, they've been, like I said, they've been getting better every game, and that's all you can ask for. But if they really start to figure it out, then we could become a very dangerous team, along with, Aiden Evitz. We need him. He's been playing well. We need him to continue to play well. And Austin Bumgardner, he's a guy who hasn't contributed a lot offensively. Shots haven't really fallen for him this year. But he's a good shooter. Like the stats don't reflect his abilities at all. And so we get him hitting a couple a game, that would be huge. And then, some of these young guys coming in and fill in the gaps, or giving rest and, playing quality minutes. It's all going to be needed.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, Coach. Coach Ryan DeBock here with the Roseau Rams. Again, their next game coming up is on Thursday on the road at Bagley.
There's more at 104. Hillsborough, North Dakota has everything you need on your next road trip. Food, fuel, fun, and family-friendly activities. Stop by and fill up your tank or grab a bite to eat. Have a blast at Goose River Golf Club, the swimming pool, or one of our beautiful parks. There's even ice skating and cross-country skiing. Take in the sights or stay the night so you don't miss a thing. Experience Hillsborough and see why there's more at 104.
Parents can influence their child's behavioral health in a few simple ways. The first is really having ongoing conversation.
Role modeling positive behavior. Parenting starts at home, and those positive influences that a parent has rolls off on their children.
Sometimes just a simple question will get a child talking, and you might learn things about your child that you just didn't know about before. If you get to a difficult topic, that's where you can reach out to Parents Lead and look for some of that information that might help you navigate that difficult topic. And that's one of the benefits of Parents Lead.
Sharing our heritage, sharing our future. Choosing the right bank for your financial needs can be challenging with the many choices available. Dakota Heritage Bank is pleased you're interested in knowing more about what they can do for you. The Dakota Heritage Bank community bank setting is a strong advantage they have over larger, less personal banks. Customers are more than account numbers, they are friends and neighbors. Working together, Dakota Heritage Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Joining us from the Horace Hawks perspective, here's the girls basketball team is 17-1 on the season with 3 games yet to be played before they get ready for the Eastern Dakota Conference girls basketball tournament. Again, the head coach for the Horace Hawks is Brent Hintz joining us here. And Brent, just taking a look back at what this program has been able to do every year, just inching a little bit farther along. Last year, first state tournament appearance, you were able to take 5th and take a runner-up in the EDC tournament. This year, you put yourself in a really good spot for how the regular season has been. Still a couple of games yet to be had, but overall, your thoughts when we're talking on February the 12th here? We were kind of joking, it's not too much farther before you get to postseason play. Just how have you liked your team's performance from November to where we are now here in the middle of February?
Yeah, it's been just awesome to watch them grow and progress. I mean, we had such a great season last year and grew so much and took so many big steps forward. And with not graduating anybody, we were really excited about the prospects and possibilities of this season. And I feel like the kids have done everything to meet and even exceed those expectations so far this year. I mean, we're in a position where, different from last year. Last year, we were kind of the young team that people knew, like, hey, they have some talent. Hey, they have some potential. Can they put this together? Can they make it work? And I felt like we proved that we could do that. And this year's been different because we've had expectations on us from the start, and the kids have handled that so well. They've embraced those. They've been excited about the expectations, and just the growth we've seen this year from last year to this year has been just exciting to see. We're doing everything better. We've improved on the areas we really want to improve on. We still have room for growth and room for improvement, which we think is really exciting because that means we can keep getting better, and that's what we want to do. And like everybody else, our goal is to peak and reach our potential and play our best basketball at tournament time. And so far, the signs are pointing in that direction. And so, like you said, we have 3 regular season games left, and we're looking at those as 3 opportunities to continue to grow, to get where we want to be. So we're playing our best basketball when it counts the most.
Yeah, this Saturday in Moorhead, part of the breakdown tournament. You should get there for both boys and girls basketball. Some really good matchups to see in person here. And you guys have a Minnetonka coming up. So what is a Minnetonka team, whether it was them or someone else that's a non-conference game this late in the year, Brent? How does that help you as you get ready? Are you changing much up, or is it let's just keep going with what it's got us to this point of the season, going up against an awfully good opponent on the other side of the floor?
Yeah, we're really excited about it. We really are. I mean, we're well aware Minnetonka is very good, and they won the largest class state championship in Minnesota last year. They obviously have size, they have skill, they have talent, and that's what we were looking for. We wanted to get challenged. We wanted to, our non-conference schedule was very intentional this year. We tried to make it as challenging as possible, and I felt like we've done that. We've gotten to play Minot, we've gotten to play Bismarck Century, Bismarck St. Mary's. We went down to the Pentagon and played a really good team who was ranked 3rd in the state down there at the time, and play them at the Pentagon on a Saturday. We went to St. Michael Albertville and played De La Salle out of Minneapolis, and we played really well in that game and really stepped up, and we were really excited to see how we'd respond in a game like that, and we responded just awesome, and it was so much fun to watch. And that's what we get an opportunity to do on Saturday against Minnetonka. We get to go out there and get on the court and have at it, and let's see how we compete. Let's see what we can do. Let's get better. And we're going into that game with expectations, like we always do. We're going into that game with an expectation that we're going to play hard, we're going to give ourselves a chance to win, and we're going to figure out a way to win the game. But regardless how that game goes, we're going to learn a lot about ourselves, and we're going to grow a ton. And I think it's at the perfect time of year. I know a lot of coaches don't want to play a non-conference game this late in the season, but I think it's a perfect time for us, because it's going to give us an opportunity to see, okay, what do we need to improve on? What do we need to fix? What do we need to get better at before tournament time? And we'll have enough time to do that. So I'm just excited about how our schedule kind of fell this year, because we had Shanley last night, really good EDC opponent. We have Minnetonka on Saturday. Next week we play Red River, who's tied for 2nd in the conference, and then following week we play Davies, who's tied for 2nd in the conference. So I don't know if it could have worked out any better. I think we're gonna just have a really great last couple weeks of the regular season, 3 weeks of the regular season, whatever it is, and really kind of get ourselves battle tested and tournament ready.
Let's take a look at some accomplishments. Always like to highlight some of the players, no matter if they're first year or been with the program for a couple of years. Lincoln Donnelly, just as a freshman, surpassed 1,000 career points here on the season here. Brent, just what has she just been kind of to evolve into? I know she's had the opportunity at a young age to play varsity, and you just see her growth literally and figuratively over the last couple of years here. Just what does that mean to have someone like that in your program reach certain milestones this early in her career?
Well, yeah, it's amazing. Most high school kids just hope that they, have a chance to reach 1,000 points in their high school career. And here Lakin has done it in her freshman year already. And it speaks to the chance that she got the opportunity to play at a young age as a 7th grader already, but it also speaks to her talent and her work ethic and the commitment and time that she puts in. I mean, she plays a lot of basketball. She spends a lot of time in the gym working on her game. She spends a lot of time, building her body up, strength training, speed, agility, all that stuff. I mean, she's totally committed and bought into being the best player she can be. And that shows on the court. 1,000 points says she can put the ball in the basket and score. But she also just has such court vision and such court sense for such a young age. I mean, last night, some of the passes she made and the things she saw on the court, and sometimes it seems like she is seeing something develop before it develops, so she knows and she's ready to make that pass. And to do that as a freshman, it's exciting. And it's also very exciting to see where that growth takes her to and what she can continue to do over the next few years in high school. It's exciting to see what that kid can accomplish. And what she can do to help this team accomplish what we want to accomplish.
Talk about the seniors. It's always fun to have a senior class. Obviously, that's been kind of the running theme in all the sports, and Horace having, seniors and having upperclassmen, as you continue to evolve the program. Jaden obviously is a walking double-double. You got Megan, and then you got Miss Sundin there. Whether you want to talk about them as a trio here, Brent, or talk a little bit about each of them, just what does this senior class mean here for this Horace Hawks club this season?
I think they meant everything. They've kind of been, those kids that have been here from the start. And there's been some others as well that have been here from the start. Obviously we just talked about Lakin, and she's been here from the beginning as well as a 7th grader. But, to have seniors this year has been, you can just tell. You can tell we have seniors this year. You can tell that just the maturity they bring, the calmness they bring, the stability they bring, the leadership, and also the urgency of, like, this is our senior year. We want to do everything right. We want every day of practice to be the best it can be. We want to leave the gym every day knowing that we got better as individuals and as a team. And, seniors do that because they understand that they're on their senior journey, and so they just push a little harder, and they push their teammates a little harder. And they've been such terrific role models for all of our young kids to just show how you show up every day and you work hard and you're committed to the process. And I cannot say enough about what they've done as individuals and as a group, not only as basketball players, but as people, and just how they've helped grow this program and also grow the school. They're leaders in this school, and they've helped this high school become a high school. And, Jaden, obviously, what she's accomplished speaks for itself, and what she continues to accomplish. And she's just a huge force for us in everything we do. She scored her 1,000th point of her career the first game of this season. And people might think, well, oh, wow, she scored her 1,000th point her first game of her senior year. Well, this kid wasn't allowed to play varsity basketball till her sophomore year. So, if she was a kid who, in a different situation where she wasn't at a brand new high school going through the process, and she would have had another couple years of varsity experience, we might be talking about her scoring 2,000 points. I really believe that because she basically scored 1,000 points in 2 years. So I think that's remarkable for her to reach that milestone so quickly. And then her rebounding last week, I believe it was, she grabbed her 1,000th rebound of her career. And, as amazing as it is getting 1,000 points, but I think getting 1,000 rebounds might even be a little more difficult. And she rebounds at such an elite rate. And so for her to accomplish that goal in about 2.5 seasons is just remarkable. And so, while she gets a lot of publicity and a lot of attention, and a lot of people talk about her, I think she's earned all of that because she's worked super hard to make herself into a great player, and she deserves the praise that she gets. And, Gonzaga University is getting a great one, and she's really fortunate to get to go to Gonzaga and play basketball, and Gonzaga is really fortunate to have her come there and play basketball for them. Keely Sunday is a very skilled guard who does so many things on the floor. She is arguably our best perimeter defender. She often gets the task of guarding the other team's best perimeter player, and she takes pride in that, and she accepts that challenge every night. She's really just become such an unselfish player. She has, looked for the pass. She's made the extra pass. She's understood the value in sharing the basketball. She makes everybody around her better. And she plays with a toughness and an edge that I think really benefits this team, because that rubs off. And if you're looking for a kid that always has a game face on, she usually has her game face on. And so while she certainly does not maybe get as much credit as she deserves, we know as a coaching staff how important she is to this team. And Megan Jelmstad, I've referenced her before as like the team mom. And she is that kid that every really good team needs to have. She is super unselfish. She gets more excited about an assist than a basket. She loves setting her teammates up. She understands her role. She balances us out because she is always willing to make the extra pass. She defends. She's a great help defender. She's the kid that we can always use to double someone, or she's just high IQ basketball player who understands what we're asking her to do. And she makes sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing when they're supposed to be doing it. And with her, I never worry because I know everything will be taken care of because Megan Jelmstead will make sure it's taken care of. And she accepts that responsibility, and it's a lot on her shoulders, but she accepts it willingly and proudly because she understands what a huge role she plays on this team, even if, other people might not recognize it because the stats don't jump off the page at you. We would not be where we are without Megan Jelmstead. So those three just do what you hope seniors will do. They provide what we need to be successful.
Hey, Brent, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck here as you finish off February Frenzy. Obviously, you're hoping for a nice run in March, and looking forward to seeing you around the gym sometime here in the coming weeks.
I hope so. Thanks for having me on and allowing me to talk about the team today. I just truly appreciate it.
Your LiveEvent.com Coaches Show. We get a chance to talk to Ted Critchley, head coach, Norman County East, Ulan Hitterdal boys basketball. Titans have had a very entertaining season. We'll say it that way, Coach. And I know we're gonna talk about it. It's seen its ups and downs, ebbs and flows. It turns out it is another basketball season. That is the one thing that is true. You can't expect perfection. Every day is different. Here you are, and the boys are playing some good basketball, as you've said it. We're in the dog days of winter.
We are. One of the things that, to go with what you said, I was just talking with somebody the other day saying that, I've coached for a long time, probably too long, but 33 years, I think, 32 years. And this would be a year I'd like to see, like, if they, how they follow teams around, do documentaries. Mm-hmm. This would be an interesting year for that. Just because of everything that you described. We've had some highs and lows. We've had some personal setbacks. We've had some personal triumphs. We've had some, just strong bonding of a group over time, setbacks during that, reunification. It's just been a wild ride, but an exciting ride. So I just really have enjoyed this year watching the resiliency of all these young men.
And I don't get tired hearing it. You talk about, not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. Dog days. You got a bunch of dogs on your team. They don't quit. You have a team that just plays hard all night long.
Yep. They do. They're amazing, And if we look at it, 2 nights ago we got thumped by Park Christian pretty good. 30 balled against them. And then we played last night, and the kids it's like they didn't even lose a beat. They weren't even, sometimes it's hard to get kids up after a really, really tough loss. And Park Christian's really good, and they just took it to us. And so we come back and we play Mills last night. And if anything, we were almost flying around a little too much, a little bit too much juice there, kind of like me driving here in the winter when I step on the gas, when I take a right, and then all of a sudden I'm spinning all over the place, So what a good group of guys.
And I know we look at the way that the season started, off to a hot start. And December was good. January was tough for the boys, and some of that was that injury situations and things like that pop up. January was a tough month. Right now, as February calendar flipped, you've lost once. Was that five out of 6? You've come out victorious here so far. It seems like the boys have turned the corner that way.
Yep, January was tough. It was tough, and we ended January. My birthday's on January 30th. We played Winnie Mac. Winnie Mac just came out to play, and it was probably one of those times where it was like, where are we going? Type of moment. And then all of a sudden we come back, and we're fortunate enough to have Titan Raider Challenge, which we talked about live during that day, and when we played them. For those that aren't aware, that's just a great day of basketball. There's a lot of pride on both sides, not just basketball programs, but you got communities involved, and I tell you, it was we were lucky we were playing that game at that time, because I think our kids found a new renewed interest. We're playing for something. We're playing for that shield, and then all of a sudden we won that. Then we get to go play what we would call, Underwood. We went and played played them, huge game. So we were very lucky with the timing of the schedule is what I'm trying to say. Playing for a shield, Underwood and us are just mere points away from each other on decimals or points away from each other in the QRF. So we knew that was a big game. Then we come back and play, a bigger school in Hawley, which is, just down the road. And I'm from Hawley, and now I realize on the other side just how big of a game that is and how well our kids wanted to play. And so we've had a really nice timing of the schedule. Meaning we've had some really important games that could kind of get us back to focusing. And now that we've won a few, now all of a sudden we're focusing on everything a little bit better. So the timing of the schedule was great. The January was a tough break, but the start of February, with the way the schedule operated, that was huge.
And I know we're going to look at the next few, which is going to be some dandies on the schedule too here in the mid part of February. But I can't say elephant in the room, but Jace Brossett's injury, it was. I mean, you can't say it didn't hurt. It hurt everybody, and it stinks for the young man who gets hurt. He's having an incredible season. Unfortunate scenario, as it is. This happens, and teams have to find a way, and the boys are finding a way.
They do. They kind of remind I jokingly, because I love the Vikings, I do. They kind of remind me of the Minnesota Vikings over the last couple, not just this year, but a couple years ago, even, where they didn't know they were going to be in the game, didn't know how they were going to win the game. You didn't know what was going to be the big play, who the main guy was going to be. That's what we're doing right now. So it's really leadership by committee, and just understanding what each player does well, and each player is focusing on what they do well, and they're just doing those types of things because they knew how important Jace was. We all know how important Jace was, and Jace still is. I mean, he's probably the best coach on the sidelines between the four of us. He knows what he's doing because he knows how to speak to those boys too. So it's been watching his leadership transform, not just by doing, because he did so many things on the court, but his vocals have been great. But just that, again, I mentioned it, and I'm sorry I keep saying it, but just the accountability of those boys, of realizing, it's do or die. We got to figure it out. We're either going to figure this out together or we're going to fail together. And so I think, wasn't it Benjamin Franklin said, if we don't hang together, we'll all hang separately. And that's kind of been a rallying point of what we've done. And so just scrappy, hard fight, some ugly games, but finding a way. And I think that for itself makes it somewhat, turns ugly to beautiful.
Oh, no doubt. And I know, as you mentioned this week, you go and you had a Park Christian game again, and now the New York Mills Tuesday. So the week does not get any easier. You get on the road and go to take on Red Lake County, a team that's been ranked in the top 10 in Class A boys basketball. I know they've got a big game Friday as well when they take on Cherry High School, top team, defending state champ. So they've got that on their schedule looking ahead after your matchup. You don't hope that teams look ahead. You don't look ahead. You're just one game at a time kind of guy, which is great. At the same time, this is a great matchup for your boys. What an opportunity to go against a really tough basketball team in Red Lake County.
Yeah. And I tell you, last year we played them. That was a wild ride. Again, 30 years. I keep mentioning how old I am. People can see it with the gray, so I shouldn't need to mention it. But just the fact that last year we got up by 20, they were ranked at that time too, and we were in another hot stretch at that time. Then they come back and show who they are. And we didn't even play bad in the second half. They just upped their game to a whole new level, came back and beat us. I think both teams were in the 90s regulation game. It was so much fun. How they play is how we like to play. They're fast, they're athletic. They like to get after it. We're just really excited for the opportunity. We hope we can create another classic.
No doubt. That's on the road. You're going to be at Perham on the schedule as well here coming up. Stephen Argyle. Then you've got a section game with Hillcrest, and Crookston wraps up the regular season. So you've got some good matchups, quality teams that you're going to face. The schedule, it doesn't get easier. It lightens up a little bit towards the end of the month. Your January was jam-packed, and early February too. Obviously barring any weather scenarios, but you've talked about it. Conference, Pine Prairie's tough, and a lot of those teams are in your section 6, which your schedule has been bolstered. So tournament time, section 6 might be one of the toughest sections in Class A, top to bottom in boys basketball. That's my view.
Yeah, it is. And I know they might say we're biased because we're part of it, but it really just is, from top to bottom. I again, been around. I've told you several times, and I'm sure people have heard me, I call it the SEC, of Class A basketball, because it's just, it doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't really matter where you're at. It's going to be a dogfight. I think what does matter is who you're matched up against. Certain opponents you match up better. Certain opponents want to see you. Certain opponents don't want to see you. That sort of thing. And that just, again, describes the parity of play in this league, too. Again, just some amazing coaches, some amazing athletes that we get to compete against. And it's just, this conference, since I've been here the last 2 years, this conference, this section has just been so much fun to participate in, because you don't know what's going to happen.
It is, and I'm looking at it right now in the 6 North, where Norman County, East Hewlett, Hitterdall. If without the QRF kind of coming in, I understand there might be some changes with that too. And so might be, it's been QRF, but I understand Section 6 maybe is going to go. I don't know. I don't think I'm breaking news to you, but I think that got switched up here just on us in the last 36 hours with a coach's vote because of Breckenridge needing to do some forfeiting, which that's intriguing.
Yeah, it is. And I again, old man, cranky man. I don't know what the best answer to that is. And again, I just bragged about saying we could play anyone, but I also did talk about how matchups are important. And I just hope that, everything gets resolved in such a way that it's done as accurately as possible, and you get those matchups based on what you've earned, versus maybe, human element is human element, and you got to remember that. So for good or bad, and so we got to consider that. It isn't so much about where we're at. I think of some of those other teams that have really bolstered their schedule and played a hard schedule so they could get a QRF, and it's so tightly packed at the top. I just hope that everybody sees that. And I'm really not talking about our team. I'm talking about other teams.
Those are things, and I know you've been, done it, been through it, and coaches that are listening have done through it, and understand it. Good and bad outcomes of it too. So I guess we'll just see. And as the chips fall, you got to beat everybody anyway. So.
Yep, you do. And like I said, in our case, really not going to be, I don't think it's going to affect us one way or another. I don't think it will. And so we're just, like I said, I don't want tournament time, because that means the season's almost over. No matter how far you get, the season's always over. What you try to do is you don't try to win a championship. You try to extend your season. Well, in the end, that probably leads to a championship, but you want to play on the last day. That's kind of what our goal has always been. Extend the season as much as you can, because you've enjoyed it as much as you have.
You talk about this, and I'll leave it with this, I guess, was your last conversation piece here today is, this last stretch of games, regular season, to best put yourself in position to make a run, to play on that last day. Where are the needs for this squad right now for Norman County, East Hewlett, Hitterdall boys basketball?
Well, the big thing is we aren't overly deep, just because we don't have a lot of guys. Got a couple guys injured, and we weren't very deep at the beginning. And when I say deep, I'm talking sheer numbers. I'm not talking about talent or anything, because I trust all of our guys. But it's about that. In fact, the other night at New York Mills, everybody had to step up. We got in foul trouble. And so we were playing guys, and Eli Lampton came in, and now all of a sudden everybody's calling him the Joker, like Jokic, because he's a bigger guy, and he was touch passing, and he was in the zone. So that was a fun night. So it's not about that. But what we do need to do is probably try to, find some consistency on the scoring end. I've always said it to them, so there's no secrets. I've said it to you on and off air. How do we get to 60? I know we defend like crazy. I know what we do. We got to find a way where we can consistently hit some shots from the outside, and we got to find a way to get to 60 points. That's all I'm really worried about, is just how do we get to 60? It's not effort. It's not defense. It's not even rebounding, even though we're small. It's just, how do we get to 60?
Looking forward to it. It's always a fun run. Always enjoy the conversations, Ted. Thank you so much to talk about the kids. I know you mentioned it. Super proud of the place you get to coach, and the team you get to coach, and the kids and the community. So looking forward to seeing what they can put together here, make a run.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. Like I said, this is always fun. Anytime we get to talk about our communities and kids, and we really appreciate it. So thanks for having us on tonight.
Glad to have you. It's Ted Critchley, Norman County East Hewlett Hitterdall boys basketball, your liveevent.com coaches show.
Jay, you know what? It's a win regardless. You get to 58 points. You win by 16. I was talking earlier on the postgame saying, maybe not the greatest of 4 quarters of basketball for either club tonight in terms of turnovers and some stuff, but what made the difference was you jumped out to a lead. You never trailed. A 7-0 run to start the game. 6-0 run to start the second quarter, another 7-0 run to start the fourth quarter. And when you can start quarters like that, obviously it goes a long way in a win like this tonight.
Yeah, that was one thing we talked about, playing from ahead, and we did that. Like you said, it wasn't always pretty, but they're scrappy. They do some different things, and they come at you, and in their zones, sometimes that happens. Kids need to make plays out of that. You can't drop specials every single time. Kids have to make plays, and we did at times, and there's other times we could have made ball fakes, pass fakes, and we turned it over too much, but I think we forced more turnovers than we actually had tonight, so that was a plus.
Kobe Wisniewski, calm, cool, collective 8 points in the second half. You look up and he's got 10 points, a handful of boards. Just kind of what you see from his play this evening.
Yeah, I thought Kobe had stretches where he played very well for us tonight, and we need that, him taking the ball to the hoop. Once again, our balanced scoring, that's huge for us, and we need Colby to do that. And there's a few times he came out in that first half and he goes, Coach, I got to be better. He knows that, and he made some adjustments that were huge for us.
Carter Bosch on Friday night with 25 points. He beats the Horn at the end of the first half. They hit a 3. He's got 3 of those in the game. Another performance at 21. Earlier you mentioned on the season that, hey, you wanted him to be a true point guard in terms of get the system involved, get everybody involved. But now all of a sudden, the second half of the season, we're seeing that, and the scoring is even picking up for him. What have you seen from the turn of the midway point of the season from Carter's performance, just to kind of have that downhill mentality and kind of look for his shot now as much as he's getting other guys involved in the offense?
Yeah, I think early in the year, obviously, and people still now, they're trying to take T and Carter away. But I think Carter's just playing within our offense, not necessarily looking to get downhill early right away or hit an early shot, but reversing the basketball, getting us set, being patient, and hitting shots. He's hitting jump shots right now, which is really opening Carter's game up, and I'm happy for him because he's put in a lot of time, and I think the last 3 games he's had 19, 25, and 21, and he's really run our offense and run the floor for us as well.
T still in another double-double, 15 and 12, gets a jam. But, it seemed like at different times guys hit their role, and Blake Thor hit those 3 threes there in that second quarter, kind of gave you a little bit of a lift too. So that's always going to be nice to see guys maybe not have to do it for all 32 minutes, but when you need a little spark from someone, whether it's offensively and defensively, and Blake got you that in that second quarter.
And it was huge for Blake. We need to hit outside jumpers against the zone. They were playing that 2-3 zone. The second half they went some 1-3-1, but you have to be able to hit shots, and for him to do that opened some things up. Then they went some 1-3-1. They were worried about Blake, and that's where T got his dunk and got some looks down low. So for us to be able to hit jump shots, huge. I wish we'd do it more consistently, but we'll take them when they come.
Final thing for me, Jay, we'll talk more, throughout the next couple of weeks here of the regular season. But 4th year of the co-op, first year of the Raider Activity Center, you get to 10 wins. This is the most in the 4 years, or 3 of 3/4 season of the co-op here. What does it mean to get to double digits with this crew, this particular 2 seniors, just with this particular team this year here, Jay? And obviously, still got 3 more games to go left of the regular season in that district tournament.
I think it shows the growth of our kids, from a year ago at this time, losing a lot of close games, not being satisfied being there, making that extra push to win these games. And, not always the prettiest. We do struggle scoring, we know that, but we've talked about defense. And I think our tenacity on the defensive end, our physicalness for our size, is huge. We can mix things up with different defenses, but our guys are playing well together, not so much individual. I think we've had balanced scoring. We have guys working together. They're understanding their roles, and we're growing throughout the season. We talked about times when we're up 9 or 11. I called the timeout purposely in that third quarter when we went up 10 and said, everyone look at the scoreboard. This is the time where we need to put our foot on the accelerator and have a good offensive possession and make it 12 or 13. So we're growing in that aspect, and I think winning's contagious, right, Chase? And our guys have that taste in their mouth, and I think for us, continuing to move forward, that's huge, and a win always helps that. So proud of these kids for putting in their time, continue to stay together, work extremely hard, and that's what we need. So
as the lights go out here, I think that's a cue for us to leave. Coach Kocka, as always, thanks so much for your time. Best of luck moving forward tomorrow against the Warbirds and returning home back on Thursday night to close out District 1 play against Oaks.
Awesome. Thanks, Chase.
That again, Jay Kocka will continue on our post-game show after this.
And that does it for the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. Join us next Wednesday on February 19th for another edition here of the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, as presented to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation every Wednesday night, starting at 7 o'clock. I'm Chase Miller. Enjoy the rest of your week and go to YourLiveEvent.com for more high school action up and down the Red River Valley, Minnesota, North Dakota, and beyond coming up here throughout the month.